The Legend of Zelda Tears of the Kingdom is filled to the brim with new skills, abilities, and collectibles for you to discover. After fully beating the game, I've gathered the top 10 most important beginner tips for new players. So get your notepad and let's dive into this. How's it going, everyone? It's Abdallah here, bringing you the ultimate beginner's guide for The Legend of Zelda Tears of the Kingdom. Now, we're going to go through 10 different aspects of the game that will definitely shine some light on brand new players. Regardless of if you've played through The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild, or if you're brand new to this series and you just picked it up to play along with my videos, these 10 tips are going to help you out. And the game doesn't explicitly tell you about all this stuff too. I had to go through and beat the entire game and really come up with these. So anyway, you guys are amazing. Feel free to use the chapters to skip around on whatever you want to watch. And if this video did help you out, be sure to smash that like button and share the video with a Zelda fan. Now, I've got tons of tips and tricks videos in my playlist, so go take a look at that. And we're also doing a 100% walkthrough where you can watch every single video and play along with. All right, well, let's jump into the top 10 tips. So the first tip that I'm going to give you for beginners is going to be running around and collecting everything that you see, because you never know when you're going to need those materials to either cook or to use just in general. So keep an eye out for all sorts of things like mushrooms on the ground over here. You got some sky shrooms. If you ever see any kind of logs on the ground, use your sword to break those through and grab some wood. And honestly, just look around. One of the best things that you can do is honestly just collecting everything. Man, there have been so many times where I needed either meat or I needed a special lizard that I saw scrambling on the ground, where I needed a tree branch or a torch in order to solve different puzzles. So whatever you do, keep on looking around at things on the ground and collect them accordingly. My second tip for beginners is going to be learning exactly what every single material does. Now, if you take a look at the inventory screen over here, you can absolutely sort by any kind of types, by any kind of fuse power, or by most used. So anyway, going over by type, you'll see that the first area over here is going to be all sorts of fruits that you can use as cooking ingredients to recover some health. Some of these also have some fine print on them in the lower corner that show what kind of resistances they show and they give. So the hydromelon over here increases your heat resistance. Right over here, the mighty bananas gives you a little bit more attack power. The spicy peppers gives you resistance to the cold. Like, these are the things that you'll absolutely need to know about. Likewise, there's no bombs in the game, but you will be able to find bomb flowers, and you'll be able to pick them up and essentially attach them to arrows or throw them manually. So these are kind of fun. Make sure that you use those sparingly, as they're very expensive to buy and very hard to find. Outside of that, there's a whole bunch of different mushrooms that you can use. Each of them have their own little properties, so really go through and learn those. Likewise, there's tons of different herbs that do the exact same thing. Sundelions are great when it comes to making recipes that recover some gloom. We have basic raw meats over here. There's going to be some cooking ingredients, such as rice, eggs, wheat. You'll also have sugar cane. You'll also have Goron spices. So yeah, if you want to look at baking a cake, feel free to do something like that. Otherwise, there's going to be a whole bunch of fish that you can catch if you're swimming around in the water, and some other creatures as well, such as rhino beetles. You've got some fireflies, and of course lizards. Man, these things are going to make great elixirs for you. So keep an eye out for that. Of course, fairies do make their return. If you ever have a fairy in your inventory and you lose all of your hearts, the fairy will instantly revive you right there with a small handful of them. You've got your precious rocks right over here, which can be used to fuse into weapons, or you can sell them for a lot of money. Outside of that, we do have some other monster parts that come out here that you can use, such as red choo-choo jelly. If you fuse that with an arrow, it'll become like a fire arrow. Same thing over here, white choo-choo jelly. The Keese eyeballs are going to be homing arrows if you do fuse those with arrows there. And you can see over here that there's just a bunch of different dropped items from all the enemies that you can use to upgrade your gear or really make your arrows a lot stronger, or your weapons in general. So keep that in mind over there. And then at the very end, we do have some miscellaneous items, such as the bright bloom seeds, which will light the path in case you're in somewhere that needs a little bit of light. Pine cones are great for roasting on a fire and giving you an updraft, similar to Rivali's Gale. We've got some wood over here. You've got some Zonaite charges that recharge your battery, and a large one that does the exact same thing. So going through and really learning what these things do will help you out in your adventure, because then you'll know that you read a small description of what can potentially help you out with stamina, and you'll know exactly how to cook that. Other than that, you're going to see a tab over here with Zonaite devices. I'll get into Zonaite devices a little bit later, but do keep in mind how many of each of these you actually have, just in case you need to build something in order to solve a puzzle. Our third tip for beginners is going to be utilizing the map and pins in order to get to where you need to go. So I'll give you a general overview of what the map looks like. Simply by pressing the minus button on the controller, you'll be able to see the Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild entire map of Hyrule, just like it was in that previous game. It's the exact same thing, same mountains, same points and everything, almost copy-pasted. It's great, you know what, not complaining about it. There's a lot of new things that they changed and a lot of new things that they added to it, so keep that in mind. Outside of that, if you press up on the D-pad, you'll be able to see the entire sky of Hyrule. Right over here is the Great Sky Island where you start off your adventure, and it is pretty big, right? But when it comes down to it, this is never replicated in any other sky island anywhere else. Think about it as these little things have shrines, right? Little shrines in the sky that you could potentially go over to and solve and find some other things along the way over here. So there's a lot of little islands floating around the sky, and you can access those pretty easily. Now take a look at how big Hyrule is. If you zoom all the way in over here, you can see just exactly how big it is. Now, let's talk about doubling that size. If you press down on the D-pad right over here, you're going to enter the map for the depths. Now, the depths are going to be somewhere where you can easily access the complete underground map of Hyrule. It's very dark. There's a lot of gloom patches that will destroy your health, a lot of crazy enemies, but essentially what you'll want to do is explore there for all sorts of hidden secrets and pose and everything that you can find. Anyway, the cool thing about it is that, let's say, for example, you head on over here to the Kyoninus. Yes, Kyoninus. Trust me, the shrine names are very, very hard to pronounce. Say you have the Kyoninus shrine right over here. If you find a nearby crater that will allow you to go underground in that area, you'll be able to see that there's a light route directly underneath it, which will light up the entire path. And the light route is the shrine name spelled backwards too. So kind of interesting. So the map is gigantic, as you can see over here. I have not even opened up the entire thing yet. I really have to go and find those different light routes in order to make this open. But you'll see that there are going to be a lot of different things, such as bargainer statues, which will allow you to buy all the amiibo gear. You'll also find old maps floating around in the overworld that will have an X marking a spot in a specific area over here. So anyway, the map is gigantic. One of the things that I do want to teach you guys is using the pins on your map. So for example, let's say you have some weird green thing in the distance over there. Press in on the right stick over here to open your scope. And then once you're done opening your scope, press the A button on an interesting spot that you want to pin and take a look at it. So press the A button, you're going to put that red pin right over that way. So now, as we're aiming and looking there, you could press the minus button and see exactly where it is on the map. So I'm standing over here on Lindor's Brow. It's over the Tanagar Canyon, and it's over here into Bantha Hills. So if I want to head on over there, I have a tangible map that I can literally go over to and trek over in that area. If you don't want that map anymore, simply go over here and delete the actual pin. But let's say, for example, that you do want to keep it in mind for later. What you can do is head on over here and put like a treasure box on there, for example, saying, hey, that's a treasure that I want to take a look at, right? Other things that you might want to do is, let's say, for example, you're near a town and there is a cooking pot, right? You can put a cooking pot over here so you can know that, hey, heads up over there, we can easily find a cooking pot. Or there's an NPC that I need to talk to. Or you can use this diamond for anything. Or there's a heart piece that I haven't done in the shrine. Maybe I'll come back to it later. Like this, for example. If I couldn't figure out how to do this shrine, I would easily come over this way and I would, put a little heart over there. And I'll say, okay, I'll come back to it. I'll mark it that I need to do that later. Other than that, you can take a look at, there's going to be maybe big bosses like Hinoxes or anything like that. Let's say, for example, there's a giant Hinox over here. And after the blood moon happens, you can go over there, farm his materials once again once he's revived. Outside of that, you're all set. I mean, this could be like a potential Korok that you don't know how to solve, or you can use this for any other thing. But keep in mind, you can put only 300 of the smaller pins on the map, and you can only put 6 of the waypoint pins on the map at any given time. So my next tip is going to be teaching you how to conserve arrows by learning how to throw materials on your own without fusing them to your arrows, if that makes sense. Anyway, normally throughout the first half of the game, I was thinking that, oh hey, if I ever needed a fire to be set and I don't have a fire weapon, I can easily grab an arrow over here, hold up on the D-pad, and find some sort of material in order to make a fire arrow to launch it on whatever I wanted to. Likewise, you could do the exact same thing with an ice item like white choo-choo jelly. You can make an electric item, and then you can also do some water items. There's a lot of things that you can fuse to make elemental weapons in the game, but of course, you don't necessarily need to use your arrows. All you have to do is hold the R button over here, and instead of throwing your weapon, what you want to do is hold up on the D-pad. Once you hold up on the D-pad over here, you can actually hold on to any of these materials and then throw them accordingly wherever you want to. So let's say I have a specific target that I want to use a little splash on. I could do that. Or if I want to electrify a little area, I could throw one of these. Or let's say I want to burn an area down, like this little thing right over here. I could throw that, and then I could honestly make some flames. I could use this to boost upwards if I really wanted to, and then go from there. So just keep in mind that you don't necessarily need to attach things to arrows, and you can just throw them wherever you want to. So the next and most important tip is going to be learning how to cook in the game, and cooking is going to be very easy and yet very complex at the same time. So as you can see right over here, I found a cooking pot, which is amazing. Whenever you find one of these, honestly go to your menu and then use the little cooking pot stamp so that you can take a look at where exactly a cooking pot is in case you need to make some recipes. Likewise, if you don't have a cooking pot near you and you're in the middle of a dungeon and you need one ASAP because you ran out of hearts and you ran out of meals, head on over to your Zonaite devices. There is one called the portable pot, which will allow you to put up a pot anywhere you want, and you'll be able to use it for one recipe only. So stock up on these just in case you forgot to prepare. Anyway, right over here you'll notice that the pot needs a little bit of fire source. You can use a fire arrow or fire material, whatever you want, or you can grab some flint, place the flint right next to it, grab your sword, and then hit it in order to light your pot. Now taking a look, all these ingredients, if you sort them by type, there's going to be tons of different edible things that you can make into recipes. For example, if you want to cook an apple, all you have to do is press the hold button right over this way and then press the A button on the pot. And if you listen really closely, you can hear Link hum a little tune from Ocarina of Time. He hums a different one every time. It's actually really cute. Anyway, Easter eggs aside, you can see that you make a simmered fruit. Now, if you head on over to Apple, you can go down to select for recipe, and you can see all the recipes that you've cooked with apples, which makes it a lot easier, and this quality of life is amazing. Because if I want to remake the fruit and mushroom mix, all I have to do is press the A button, and then it holds all those ingredients for me, and then I can just cook again and then skip the cutscenes. So it makes it really easy. Now, one of the things that I really want you to pay attention to is the fact that you have all of these ingredient slots over here in your inventory. This is 25 plus. I don't really know what the limit is. I haven't cooked to the limit, but you can hold over 25 different recipes. So don't be on your adventure with an empty recipe slot, because you're definitely going to need all sorts of stuff, such as a defense up recipe in case you're battling against a boss and you're struggling against it, or an attack up recipe that gives you even more plus attack, or some sort of like cold resistance recipe in case you're venturing out into the cold. Likewise, something that'll allow you to speed up, or something that gives you even more stamina. So the recipes that I really want you guys to focus on are going to be the heart recipes, and the heart recipes come from all the different cooked meats within the game. So if you ever like attack any of the wildlife, they'll drop some meats. Head on over here, cook them, and you'll be able to see that if you cook 3 of these raw prime meats, you'll be able to get 9 hearts, which is amazing. That's like your entire heart meter right over that way. Other things that I do want you guys to take a look at is stamina restoring, which is going to be stam bulbs. You can also use any of the stamella shrooms, or if you're lucky enough to catch some fish, the staminoka bass is actually really good. If you just cook those, you'll get a lot of stamina. So those are the main ones that you want, is stamina and hearts. You can also use any of these sundalion dandelions to recover any of your gloom depleted hearts, which will be a little bit later on in the game. That's actually a really, really good thing towards the last section of the game. And then, of course, you've got your basic resistances over here, such as Warm Saflina helps out with cold resistances. You've got the Cool Saflina that helps out with heat resistances. There's a lot of herbs. There's a lot of fruits, and then you can also even make elixirs with some of the critters over here. So yeah, just experiment with it and have a good time. The fifth tip that I want to teach you guys is mastering Ultra Hand. Now, you're going to get that as one of the very first abilities within the game. Now, if you hold the L button and then press the right stick over, you'll be able to activate Ultra Hand anytime you want. Now, what I want to teach you guys is using Ultra Hand while you're walking around will allow you to kind of highlight some areas that are grabbable in the area. And that's very helpful, especially in dark areas too, where it kind of lights them up so you know what's grabbable and what's not. This is obviously not grabbable, whereas this lights up in green and is totally grabbable there. Now, along the lines with Ultra Hand, doing some builds is going to be very, very important for you. And I'll teach you guys 2 builds that you guys can use. Now, one of the first builds is going to be using wings this way. Now, wings are going to be great, which will allow you to fly throughout the entire air. So, in order to get a wing, you're going to either need to use it just regularly, if there's a little railway, or you're going to need to put it on top of a cart. So here's a cart with some wheels this way, easy peasy. What I'm going to do right now is I'm going to grab the wheel and we are going to put it directly underneath the wing this way. So grabbing the wing, we're going to be moving it in mid-air right over this way, putting it directly on the middle and pressing the attach button. Boom, there we go. So now we've got a wing on wheels. One of the other things I'd love to do is I like to grab these little fans over this way. Now, if you want to ever rotate the fans, definitely hold the R button and then use the D-pad in order to do so. So as you guys can see, we want to put the fan in a way that it is directly aiming behind us, right? So don't put the fan backwards. Right over here is going to be another little fan that way. Boom. The next thing that I want to show you guys is the steer stick. Occasionally you'll find these on board, which will allow you to control the different vehicles that you make. So here's a steer stick. You're all set and ready to go. One of the other things that you can do if you ever find them is placing some batteries nearby. So these batteries are kind of cool because they will allow you to use actual battery power versus your Zonaite charge that you have according to Link. So right over this way, I'm going to be rotating them accordingly, and I'm just going to be putting them right on top. So this is going to be a very, very cool flying vehicle that you'll absolutely learn how to use later on. Likewise, if you don't have 2 fans available, you can put one centralized fan in the very back and then use that accordingly. So once you're ready to go, all you have to do is press the control button over here and then start moving forward because you're on wheels, and since you're perfectly balanced, you can actually start flying around the area, which is so cool. So you can see my left battery is just about drained, no problem whatsoever, because we also have a backup battery in the form of the right battery that way. Boom, that's gonna disappear. Okay, easy peasy. So right over this way, we're gonna land right back where we were, and press the B button whenever you just wanna land. Boom, just like that, and we are all set. Was that easy or what? It's sometimes you won't have a control stick or like a steer stick, and you may have to just kind of like walk on the edges of it in order to kind of turn. So you'll eventually get access to steer sticks a little bit later. The next build that I want to show you is going to be a little bit of a hovercraft. You can see that there's one right over here. You're simply going to take any of the like square pieces over this way and then add fans to them. If you add fans and they're going to be aiming downwards, you'll be all set and ready to go with lifting up, right? But you won't have any actual movement towards the, I don't know, towards left or right. So if you have an additional fan, you can easily come over this way. I can angle it downwards and I can put it right on the end this way. And that way, it'll allow me to steer a little bit more. So this one is a pretty advanced build. I don't think you need all 4 of these to make it happen, but we have all 4 and we have some extra batteries. So I'm going to take control of this over here. I added 5 fans to this, so that means that the battery is going to drain really well. So as you can see over here, this gives a lot more lift, but it's going to take up a lot more battery power simply because I'm out here using 5 different fans. And once the battery power is done, you can see that we are going to be running on our own battery charge that we have in our pocket over here. So don't go too crazy, because the moment that you run out of battery charge, you are going to start sinking down and plummeting. So if you ever need to replenish battery charge while you're flying like this, you can head on over to your materials and then use any of the Zonaite charges. If I use one of these, it's going to give me a little sliver of battery power. If I use the large Zonaite charge, it'll give me about 30 seconds of just free battery, and then it'll also refill as well. So feel free to use whatever you want in order to get that. But as you guys can see over here, it is very scary in the event that you do fall and crash down. So there's a lot of build potentials with that, but those are the basic ones that you're going to want to learn throughout the entire game. Our next tip is going to be teaching you how to fuse all of your items into your various arrows, your weapons, and of course your shields. Now, throughout the entire game, I really only did fusion with arrows. And then I really started to think, hey, what else can I do with that? So if you didn't already know, if you hold your archery arrow down, you'll be able to grab any of these weapons over here and fuse them together. Red choo-choo jelly for some fire arrows, or you can actually sort by fuse power, and then you can actually fuse any of these weapons together in order to launch something really, really strong at your opponents. Very, very simple. Anyway, so that's very easy to do right over this way. As you can see, I fused a crazy looking Lizalfos item onto it. But what I really want to teach you guys is how to fuse your items onto your weapons. That's going to be amazing. And you can actually just use materials in your inventory and not just have to rely on boulders or some other things that you found in the environment. As you beat up enemies throughout the entire game, let's take a look over here. We're going to go this way. We're going to sort by attack power. Perfect. Yeah. So as you sort by attack power over here, you'll be able to see all these different weapons that you've gotten from boss drops. For example, I beat up a silver Lizalfos, and I got a 34 fuse attack power Lizalfos horn. Likewise, I came over here against an ancient blade by scanning in the Guardian amiibo, and that gives plus 50 fuse attack power. Now, it would be an absolute waste if I put the ancient blade on an arrow and shot it and broke it one time. So instead of doing that, essentially, I would grab these items over here and attach them to whatever weapon I want. And the cool thing is that once you actually unlock the Master Sword, that's going to be an infinite amount of, unbreakable weapons. So ideally, the best thing you want to do is find something really, really strong and then fuse it to the Master Sword. But for this exact purpose, what I'm going to do is I'm going to grab, I don't know, anything over here, something that I have multiple of. Diamond, for example. That's actually really cool. I got a couple diamonds. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to click on hold. I'm going to grab this diamond. I'm going to drop it on the ground. Once I have that, here we go, hold. I'm going to press the A button to drop it there. Here's a giant diamond on the ground. We're going to use the fuse functionality, which is going to be holding L and then pressing down on the right stick. And then we're going to make sure that our Master Sword is selected. Boom. So we can actually fuse that. And you can see you got plus 25 on the Master Sword. And it looks for a split second like you're actually holding onto a diamond sword this way. So not only do you have the strength of the Master Sword, but now you have an additional plus 25 attack power. Okay, so now combo that. And then imagine if I actually used my Ancient Blade to give it even more power, plus 50. Yes, that's amazing. So likewise, what you can see over here is that you can actually fuse any kind of items into your shields right over here. It's pretty easy. So you can see that I've got like a rock shield over this way. You can put literally anything on your shield. Just make sure not to go like surfing with that item on top of there because you'd actually end up tripping over yourself. So anyway, learn how to fuse some stuff. Don't be afraid to fuse items that you have in your inventory with your weapons over here so that you can actually see how strong of a boost it gives you versus just firing them off one at a time with arrows. And if you ever want to change off what's on your particular shield or weapon, click on over here and then you would click on destroy fused material. And by doing so, you would have this ready to go to refuse with anything else. Do I necessarily want to destroy the diamond that I put on my Master Sword? Absolutely not, unless I'm ready to go through and do the Ancient Blade. So anyway, mess around with it. Whenever you find stronger weapons and stronger material drops, feel free to think about, okay, which weapon am I going to put it on, which melee weapon, or am I going to simply use it as a very, very strong arrow? Keep that in mind. My next tip I'm going to give you is going to be telling you that you do not want to skip out on any shrines that you come across. It may be tempting to walk past a particular shrine, but really don't, because as you're going through, you'll see these little green swirls over in the map. So you want to be able to mark that spot and literally head on over there to get that shrine. Not only do shrines provide a very fun puzzle that'll teach you the basics of the game, but if you take a look, you'll be able to find different shrines that will give you all sorts of experience and hearts and weapons and things on the inside. So anyway, don't pass up any of the shrines. They also provide a way of fast traveling throughout the game. And if this game is anything like Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild, there's going to be a lot of shrines. I remember there was like over 100 shrines in the first game, and I've only gotten a small handful of them within there. So as you can see, whatever shrine you've actually activated, you have the ability to go through and teleport to them whenever you want to. And if we take a look at this map right over here, all the little blue little spots over here are shrines that I've gone through and absolutely completed too. So I'm very excited to say that there's a lot of them going on. Just don't miss them. And of course, in order to beat the entire story mode, you'll need at least 9 hearts and at least 2 full wheels of stamina. So once you go through to any of these shrines, you'll be able to get a Light's Blessing. And using a Light's Blessing in combined with 3 more of them for a total of 4 will net you a little piece of stamina, or it'll give you 1 additional heart. So make sure that you use whatever one you want to, but focus on making sure that you have at least 2 wheels and 9 hearts throughout the entire game. Now, my next tip that I want to teach you is to be keeping an eye out for all different outfits within the game, because you want a variety of them. Now, it's easy to get a bunch of outfits by scanning in the amiibo within Legend of Zelda Tears of the Kingdom, but you really want to find ones that give different resistances. Like Flame Breaker armor over here gives Flame Guard. You also get a Snow Quill tunic that gives cold resistance. You'll also be able to find Hylian hoods and many, many more. So if you take a look at my inventory over here, there's little icons in the top corner that show you exactly what kind of resistances or boosts they have. For example, the Desert Voe headband gives you a little bit of heat resistance. You got climbing gear that gives climbing speed up, which is very, very important. You'll also see different ones like a glide mask that gives a little bit more gliding. You've got a gloom resistant tunic. You've got a glowing effect that you can have, a little bit of electric resistance, faster swimming, a little bit stealthier approaches to things, and the Fierce Deity outfit gives you attack up as you're playing through this. So there's many different outfits that you want to start collecting in the game, because whenever the battles come on board, you never know what you're going to need. So switching your outfit on the fly is going to be very imperative. And if you're looking for any of the boosts to defense on any of these outfits over here, you can find the Great Fairies within the game and use them to bolster the defenses of any of these items here, provided that you have the rupees and materials in order to do so. And of course, I found myself dying a lot in the game with just the basic level armor, so I made finding the Great Fairies a #1 priority within the game. So find my tutorial video on where exactly those 4 Great Fairies are at, and start keeping in mind which materials you're going to need to collect in order to get the next level of gear, so that you're naturally more defensive when you wear it. Our last tutorial is going to be teaching you how to expand your energy cell. If you take a look at Link over here, he's holding on to a little chain that has 8 spots for batteries on there. You start off with 1 energy cell, and you can expand it even further with the use of crystallized charges. Now, crystallized charges, you cannot find these in the wild anywhere, but of course, you can find Zonaite, which you can purchase some crystallized charges. So, as you can see, I'm right underground over this way in the mining cave. If you take a look at the Great Sky Island, right to the south, there's going to be a mining cave right in approximately this area here. So if you have access to the Nachoya Shrine, you can jump off the edge over here and then walk on down, and you'll see the mining cave there. You'll follow the mining cave all the way through here, and you'll be able to find my current location with this forge construct available. So the great thing here is you want to be able to use any of your weapons that have any of the boulders, and you could do a little bit of mining. If you see any of these glowing green different rocks, you can break this open and you'll be able to see all sorts of different Zonaite. So collect that accordingly. As you can see on top, I've got 89 of them in my inventory. Right over here, you can come over to the shop and you can purchase crystallized charges. There's only 10 of them over here, so go through and buy them as best as you can. And it's really only going to cost you 30 of those pieces of Zonaite. So if you look around in that cave, you'll be able to find Zonaite literally everywhere. And likewise, yeah, you can see that right over there in the back. There's a little bit of Zonaite. Right in the back over here, there's Zonaite there that you can keep on farming. Now, you can also buy some Zonaite charges, which are like temporary refills on batteries, but it's not going to expand your energy cell. So when you think about it and you're looking at getting even more of the energy cell, you're going to need 100 of the crystallized charges. So use that accordingly, right? So as you can see over here, he only had 10 at the very beginning of the game. But if you're looking for a spot that has a lot more of them, head on down to, drum roll please, right over here in the depths of Hyrule. Dun dun dun. If you look at the depths of Hyrule, it's right over in the Great Abandoned Central Mine. If you take a look at this, there is a fast travel over there. So I'm going to fast travel over there and show you exactly the mother lode of these crystallized charges, man. Dude, I want to make sure I fill up my entire battery, because when it comes down to it, if you want to be exploring the entire sky realm, you're going to need some sort of floating device that'll keep you in the air as long as possible. So going through and doing this is going to be great. So as you can see right over this way, we have a boatload of these crystallized charges, baby. And he's got the big ones over here too. All right, so each one of these big ones is worth 20 normal crystallized charges. And remember, we need 100 in order to get a full brand new 3-bar energy cell. So unfortunately, I don't really have enough Zonaite in order to do that. So I'm going to have to go mining for it. As you can see right over here, I can purchase as many of these as I can. I really only have 59 of these Zonaites, so I'm really going to have to go through and do it. So I'm going to buy 19 of them, which is fine. So that's going to be all of my entire inventory over here, and I'm going to go from there. As you can see, if you take a look, crystallized charges, I only have 59 of them. That's not 100, so I can't really cash them in yet. So as you guys can see over here, that's going to be it. So, yeah, you can see over here that he's the one that processes all of the different Zonaite into the charges, into the different large charges, and the crystals as well. Now, if you guys are curious as to how to go and exchange them, you're going to have to go over to the main area in Lookout Landing. So I'm going to come right over this way in Lookout Landing. We're going to warp over here to Lookout Landing Sky Tower, and we're going to go over to the character that actually takes every single one of your 100 crystallized charges and turns it into an actual energy cell, which is so helpful within the game, and I wish I did this way earlier on. But yeah, if you take a look in the depths, there's going to be lots of Zonaite mines and Zonaite areas where you can just keep on mining indefinitely. So just keep an eye out for that. And if you want to make sure that these guys refill their crystal stations, all you have to do is just wait. Honestly, it's a waiting game. I haven't done the exact science as to how long you're going to need to wait, so I do know that they do refill after a while. I tried changing the date, but that really didn't do much. So anyway, what we're going to do right now is we're going to come over here right outside of Lookout Landing. We're going to climb up this wall over here, and we're going to talk to this Zonaite Steward Construct. So talk to him, and he is the crystallized... he's the refinery. So what you're going to have to do is click on Get Producing, and then he's going to say, hey, you're going to need at least 100 crystallized charges to make your entire energy cell. And that's it. Done. You're all set. So get out there, hang out in the mines all the way up in the sky, or hang out all the way in the depths, and then really farm for Zonaite. Get as much of it as possible, and then use it to give yourself even more battery life. And there you have it, top 10 beginner tips for all sorts of players that are coming into The Legend of Zelda Tears of the Kingdom. Man, the game is so big, and this is literally just scratching the surface of all the things that I want to teach you. So keep it locked here for even more tips and tricks tutorials. Do you have any other tips that you want to share with everyone? Let us know in the comments below, and let's keep the discussion going. Man, I just want to keep on playing the game. It's going to be amazing. So stay tuned for more tips and tricks. Stay tuned for more episodes of the 100% walkthrough. And of course, stay subscribed so you can catch me live and see what else I got going on. You guys are awesome. Thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you on the next one. Take care.